Welcome to Let's Play Battlefield 1942. On today's episode, Stalingrad. Now I have to say Stalingrad, more than any other map on this game, is probably the most popular and most frequently mentioned when people are asked, what's your favorite map? The reason for that, I think, is that it's so much action packed into such a small space. Even though Battlefield 1942 is known for maps with lots of different types of vehicles and lots of open areas and a lot of strategizing, what people like most, I guess, is to just get lots of kills and lots of action really quick. And this is definitely one of the maps that lets you do it, probably more so than any other map. It's one of, I think, two maps on this game which you would say are totally urban. This one and Berlin. And this one's the more favored because it's more balanced and there's a lot less base camping than Berlin. In addition to the infantry, there are two tanks which spawn for each side at their uncapturable bases. Once again, it's a three-flag setup, one flag close to each of the mains, and then one flag right in the middle. That middle flag in particular is just a total death trap, unlike anything else on this entire game. That one flag, you go there and you get killed by grenades, almost guaranteed. And if you don't get killed by grenades, you get killed by a bunch of people from the other team rushing the flag all at once. Or if those things don't kill you, then an enemy tank will. And if the enemy tank doesn't kill you, then a friendly tank will. I don't know why that guy spawned in as a sniper. This is one of the maps where ideally there should be no snipers. The reason is not because snipers are useless, although they pretty much are anyways. The snipers have no place in this map because there's a lot of fog. Your visibility is very limited. So if you want to snipe, you should spawn in as an engineer. The engineer's rifle does just as good a job, if not better, sniping with the fog, and you have the ability to kill the enemy tanks using your landmines. Also, the dynamite that engineers have is pretty useful for killing infantry too. That's a common hiding space where I just was, hiding by the medicine cabinet for each of the two building spawns. There's another worthless sniper there for you. You can spawn, this is one map where you can spawn as an assault rather than medic, and it's kind of a legitimate thing because there's so much close quarter action that the accuracy of the medic gun isn't quite as important for an assault troop. On the other hand, if you're good at the game and you manage to stay alive after a couple of exchanges, you're going to want that healing ability that the medic has. If you do go as an assault, you should go as the Russian assault. The Russian assault has a special gun that has a lot of ammunition and a lot of stopping power, although it's been nerfed from its original composition. Originally, the Russian assault gun had something like 81 bullets per clip, which is incredibly useful because when you're shooting lots of bullets and you're running around trying not to get killed, the time when you're most likely to get killed is when you're reloading your ammunition. So if you have a gun with 81 bullets per clip, that's a huge advantage. So they reduced that to 40-something bullets. The Allied team has been bleeding tickets for a while. That's common. If you control that center flag, there's a very good chance that you're going to be bleeding the enemy side. Most of the time, the middle flag actually remains neutral because there's so much action there, and there's so many people getting killed by friendly and enemy grenades, so many people getting killed by friendly and enemy tanks. We have managed to capture one of the enemy tanks. That's why that T-34 tank is in red. That's not normal. It's Definitely a huge disadvantage for the other side to have the tanks be like that, because it's 3 enemy tanks per 1 allied tank instead of 2. The way that tank gets stolen on this map more often than not is either a tank will be damaged and the tank driver gets scared and just jumps out of the tank, and a friendly or hostile engineer will go up to the tank and repair it and drive it away, or someone might break the rules if it's against the rules to camp the main base and steal it from the main base. You can see in this map with a lot of that close quarter combat that knowing how much to lead your targets on this game is so important. Even though I have a good connection to the server, there's always going to be some amount of lag, and if you're really close to the enemy, that gets amplified. You also just want to keep moving constantly, just non-stop, even if it's just back and forth, to make it more difficult for the enemy to hit you, because they're really looking for stationary targets. The grenade spamming hasn't been too bad this time around, but it's very common, especially in the middle flag, for there just to be an unending stream of grenades, and it can be very frustrating. The action's getting really hot at that middle flag, so I'm going to spawn away from there for now. That center flag is probably one of the few flags on this game where you don't want to spawn there very frequently at all, even if your team has that flag and a nearby flag. You just want to avoid spawning there as much as possible. You can see the effect of limited visibility. In the distance, there is a building that you can just partly see, and it gets lit up when you fire a tank cannon shot into it. The other team has managed to capture both of the flags that are nearer to one side, and we've got the middle. When that happens, it's a huge disadvantage for the team that's only spawning in the middle, because that middle flag's such a death trap. Whereas the 2 building flags are pretty decent, pretty easy to defend. The one thing I like about the enemy having one of the building flags is that you can sit back with the tank and just blow up people with splash damage, firing a cannon round right into the doorway. If you get into a good position with the tank, you can also fire it up into the upper floor and to the upper windows, or into the middle window where there's usually at least one person there. And although you can't quite see the building because of the fog, based on what's being lit up by my cannon, you can tell where the windows are and you can fire your cannon shell into them. The disadvantage of doing that is that you're likely to team kill the 1 or 2 people on your team who are trying to assault that flag and take it, because the only way you can take that flag is to get up into the upper floor. On the other hand, there is a decent argument to be made that it's better to allow your enemy to spawn in at least one of those 2 flags and camp them to death, rather than trying to get all of the flags, or in some cases even try to get 2 of the flags, because ticket bleed isn't that fast, but ticket loss due to deaths on this map is very fast. Well, we've built up an insurmountable lead. Even though they're bleeding tickets against us, I can't see them possibly winning on this map because we've got such a big lead. And ticket bleed isn't quite as important on this map because there's so much ticket loss due to just plain deaths. There we go. Someone's actually trying to attack my tank. If you do a good job camping one of the enemy flags, they'll usually send someone, even if it's a tank, to go after you. Yep, and there's some reinforcements, but they should have brought some people with bazookas or landmines. And I think we've pretty much played out this round. Axis wins by, this is a good sized win for one team on this round, on this map rather, because we've had ticket lead for such a long time. And that'll do it. Stay tuned for our next episode, Battlefield 1942.